Hi, how are you? My name is Jerome. It's awesome to be a black man. When I was born, I woke up being brown. My mother gave me birth, and I looked at my color. I love my color. It's awesome. Don't change who you are. Don't change what God has born you to be. Blackness never crack. I tell you, wonderful to know a black man. I tell you, a black man should be a black king. And in order to be a black man, a true black man, first love God.
This station is Harlem, 125th Street. As you leave the train, please watch the gap between the train and the platform.
Boy!
What's gonna say that gate?
Oh boy!
What's gonna say that gate?
Shalimar, Shalimar, Swanee Shaw. Let me dig this jive once more, boy!
Right on down to the gate.
Oh boy!
As a black man, I had the distinction of living with my father, who lived with my mother all of my life. They were always together. And I know that's fairly uncommon, but I've never known either of my grandfathers. I didn't know my mother's father. I didn't know my father's father. So one of the distinctions of being a black man, when you go to a hospital and they ask about your family health background, your genetic background, I always have to call my older sister because a lot of it has been hard to piece together. My father was, I would call him a tough guy. He was a very honorable person, worked hard. When I went to college, my father had 3 jobs. I was lucky enough not to have to take out any student loans, in part because I had a great college scholarship, but also my father worked 3 jobs. And at one point, I asked him, well, why on earth do you have to work 3 jobs? He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to tell you anything about my jobs, and I know they were all legal jobs. He said, I'm not going to ask you how you get your grades, but you get your grades, I'll get the money. And that's who my father was. I think I understood my father a lot more as I got older. We didn't always see eye to eye. As a young man, he was in the military, and as a black man in the military, he was very regimented. I wasn't sure if he was a high school graduate, and I only found out the year that he was dying that he was a high school graduate. But I know what changed him was when I got married and had children. Like lots of brothers, my father probably didn't love all kinds of people, and because he had the distinction of working one job and then retired from that, and then became a New York City bus driver and was working his way to retiring from that. So he was going to be a double pension person and having some pension from being a Korean War vet. So when I had children, he was obviously an older man, but I saw a side of him that I never saw. He was so nice and so tender, and my wife was from the Dominican Republic, and I always knew that as someone who worked as a bus driver in the South Bronx on the night shift, he had harsh opinions of Latinos, but he loved my wife dearly. He was very, very kind to her, and I was worried that he was going to be offensive to her. He was not. And he loved my daughters just terribly. Again, the side of this man I never got to see when I was a kid. And I think that's part of why I think being a black man is this multifaceted personality. You grow up in New York City, you either have to be a little bit tough or you become a victim. So even if you learn how to play tough, if you're not really tough, if you don't want to be a victim, you have to learn that role. So that's part of the role that I have. I used to work a lot with youth, New York City youth. Spent a lot of time doing that, and with black men who were college students as well. That was part of my early profession. And I often tell people that it's okay to be many things to many people. And folks think, oh, well, that means you're being phony. I'm like, no, you are many things to many people. When you're with your grandma, you really shouldn't be the same with her that you are with your boys or with your girlies. If I'm with a special woman in my life, I shouldn't be the same way with her that I am with my boys. And I think everybody understands that. So we have a multifaceted personality. So you have to learn to do that in your everyday life. Because if you're a street hood, and it's okay if that's who you are, but if that's who you are all the time, that is indeed all you are, and that's all you're going to get to claim. So for someone like me, who started off where I did, from a really modest, low-income family, to have an Ivy League degree, to have a real job, and to speak honest-to-God English, I take some pride in that, I really do. But when I'm walking the streets of Harlem and somebody comes up to me and talks to me, I talk to them like I am, like I'm from the neighborhood.